Madeline drew a breath, perhaps attempting to steel herself for the latter half of her tale. She winced. "Oh, goodness, this happened 8 years ago, but it still haunts me. Silly, I am being foolish. If only Daffodil were here to chastise me." Unsure of what to do, the traveler reached a hand towards Madeline, but they did not feel confident enough to rest it upon her shoulder. It would have been so easy to comfort Madeline if they were Daffodil, but they were not. All the traveler could do was let their arm drop and say softly, "I don't think you're foolish. I think you're strong and noble." "Oh, my!" "You know, flattery will get you nowhere." "I wasn't trying to flatter you." "I wonder. Daffodil is convinced every traveler we accept into our church has wicked designs on my innocence. She says they would all propose to me if given half a chance." I don't know about proposing. I'm not the marrying kind." "Me neither. I'm already married." You are?" "To Lady Madeline, of course." "Oh, right. Of course." "In any event, I love Daffodil too much to leave her on her own. She gets awfully lonely when I'm not around." "So she has a cute side, "She is very cute. She just doesn't like showing it because she's pig-headed. If she smiled a bit more, I'm sure you could have begged her to keep you company tonight, rather than me." "Well, I don't know about that. She seems rather violent." "Like a little rabid dog, but she calms down when I pet her." Amazing. Madeline giggled. She looked a lot happier than she had done before. She really must have loved Daffodil if talking about her cheered her so completely and instantly. But the merriment soon faded from Madeline's face as she reconsidered, staring out at one of the stained-glass windows. Back to the story. Madeline's story resumed. One day, a traveler came to our church with a mysterious illness. His face was covered in black pustules, and his skin was pasty. He walked with a limp and seemed ready to collapse at any given moment. He said he had been turned away from Castella. The villagers would not allow him to stay, for fear he would infect everyone. By this point, the traveler had lost any hope that he could be cured. His illness was much too advanced for that. He just wanted somewhere to die with a touch more dignity than the side of the road. Some of the sisters were skeptical, but the Mother Superior remained firm. She said it was our duty, as servants of Lady Madeline, to welcome any and all travelers in our church. We nuns followed her orders, of course, and prepared a bed for the traveler so he could die in peace. As he died, he thanked us. I remember that clearly. Though we could do nothing to alleviate his condition, he was thankful from the bottom of his heart. But his presence in the church was like a curse. Within a week of the traveler's death, some of the sisters began to suffer from fatigue. We thought it was a passing illness, but the symptoms persisted, until the nuns were infected with the same black pustules as the traveler. It all happened so fast. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before. The sisters all fell ill in such a short span of time, and then they couldn't eat or drink, and they suffered mysterious pains. The pustules grew and grew, and when they got too big, they burst. The smell was indescribable. We nuns who did not succumb tried to help, but we couldn't do a thing. Mother Superior called a physician from Castella, but he could not help either. He had no advice to give other than fresh air and bloodletting, but it made no difference. Within time, even Bernadette, I do not want to dwell on something so miserable. You should know what happened. You can see how desolate the church is now for yourself. The nuns, all of them, every last one, they all died. Even the Mother Superior. They could have run away and spared themselves, but they did not. They remained, trying desperately to tend to their fellow sisters, though this spelt their own demise. When I first came to the church, there were 11 sisters. In less than a month, only one remained. Me. I do not know why I did not succumb to the sickness. At the time, I wish I had done. I wish I had died with my sisters. They were all the friends and family I had, and without them, without Bernadette, life seemed so hollow, so empty. I was left with corpses, and I did not know what to do with them. I walked to Castella, hoping some of the villagers would help me, but they refused to set foot near the church. I returned all alone, and set about the task of burying the corpses myself. I could not simply leave them, not after everything they had done for me. It was an act of reverence, but at the same time it was suicidal. I hoped, as I buried their wasted bodies in the churchyard, I would also fall ill. As I dug those graves, I was wondering whether one of them would become mine. But though my mind was weak, my body was stubbornly robust. I dug the graves and buried bodies for 3 whole days, working long into the night with little food or rest, but I remained fine. Perhaps perversely, my health was fine. In fact, the cool air brought roses to my cheeks, and the physical labor improved my constitution. I seemed to be growing healthier and healthier, though my family, Bernadette, they would never get back up again. I knew that because I was the one who buried them. I put their limp, lifeless bodies into those graves, and I covered them with dirt. I watched as I filled their open mouths with soil, though doing so seemed so unforgivably horrid, I thought I would go to hell. At the time, I hated myself. Why had I survived? Why me? I tormented myself for so long I almost considered taking my own life. If I could not become sick, I could at least slit my throat or pierce my heart with a sliver of glass. I did not care what. I was just so lonely. I was accustomed to always being around others, you see. I had been lucky enough, since my birth, to always be surrounded by people who loved me, and I fear I had become rather selfish. I wanted to be loved. I was desperate for it, so desperate I could have died. But I remembered the story Bernadette told me, that we should not run from our problems. We should take care to not stain our souls, so we may transcend to a higher plane of existence. I told myself if I took my life, my soul would be blackened irreparably, and unlike our ancestors from hundreds of years ago, I would not even be able to become a tree. I would just wither and die. So I could not kill myself. I was close to it, but I knew that would be unforgivably selfish. I had vowed to be a nun and spend my life serving others. What manner of nun would I be if, when faced with hardship, I served only myself? I chose to live. Thanks to Bernadette and my faith and all of the love I had been fed within my childhood, until I could not be loved any more than I already was, I was able to survive, and I have never regretted it. The traveler stared at Madeleine, their eyes wide beneath the folds of their hood. The clouds in the night sky had parted. The moon shone bright and full, held up in the night sky. The stars twinkled around it, spectral spectators. Had they been so impressed by Madeleine's tale that they had come out of hiding simply to listen? If so, the traveler did not blame them. This was the strength of a woman who had seen those she loved die before her eyes, unable to do a thing. She had buried their bodies on her own when she was only 15. Still a child, really. She had seen so much death, and yet, here she was. She was still alive, in this church, and she continued to welcome travelers with a smile. She could still smile, even now, even after everything that had happened. You really are impressive. Oh, it was not solely because of my own strength. I do not mean to brag. I was lonely, you know. I was horribly lonely. I remained in this church for almost 5 years all alone because it was my duty. I helped those who asked for help, but nobody stayed. In the end, they always left me. I worried, though I had not killed myself, I might collapse from loneliness. Living on your own is not a pleasant experience. There was nobody to talk to. Until you met Daffodil? Indeed, until I met Daffodil. I can keep going because of her. She gives me hope, though she does not realize it. She thinks I support her, but it is not nearly so one-sided. She supports me, too. Like the souls in that parable. That's right. Madeleine nodded firmly, her face bright and beatific, with its soft, guileless smile. She is like my anchor, my other half. Perhaps it would be more fitting if I called her a soulmate. Soulmate. The traveler repeated Madeline's makeshift title, a soft, sweet epithet filled to the brim with love. How can anybody show scorn for such a simple, sweet affection? Okay. The night passed without further event. The traveler was able to snatch a few hours' worth of sleep on the wooden pew, curled up inside their damp cloak. They did not know if Madeline had stayed with them throughout the night, but the traveler presumed she had. Judging by her story, she was the kind of woman who gave herself to others completely, even if they were not able to appreciate it. She had told the traveler she would accompany them through the entire night, and so she had. It stood to reason. And the new day dawned. The inky black night was swept away by the sun, and along with it the rain clouds. They seemed to disperse with the first shy rays of sunshine, as though the torrential downpour from last night had been a mere mirage. The traveler found themselves standing by the entrance of the church, their cloak wrapped tightly about them like a protective shroud. Madeline and Daffodil were there, fussing over their newfound companion. Or rather, Madeline was fussing. Daffodil, as in keeping with her character, kept her distance. "Are you sure you will be all right? I don't want you to get lost on your way to Castella." "I'll be fine. I'm a traveler by nature. I wouldn't be able to travel if I got lost." "Like you did on your way here, you mean?" The traveler shot a glare at Daffodil. "I'm not paying for your cheek, missy." "You're not paying us at all." "Touché. In fact, I think you should pay us. You ate our food and took up Madeline's precious time. It was rather selfish of you to keep her all to yourself last night." "Ah, so Madeline really had been sitting by the traveler on the pew all night, had she?" The traveler was touched. But Daffodil did not look very happy about this. She hung back, huffing childishly. How on earth was such an irritating brat a nun? It didn't seem like a very suitable profession. "Pay up! You owe me." Now, Daffodil. It is our duty to care for travelers. That is part of being a nun. It would be wrong if we asked for reimbursement." "Well, I don't care about the food that much." "But they monopolized your company for the whole night. That's priceless." "If it's priceless, there's no way I can pay you back." "I am willing to accept your firstborn child." "So now you're a witch?" "I could be. I'll become anything, a witch or a monster or a demon, for Madeline's sake." "I'm very flattered, but I wouldn't want you to become a heathen on my account." "And I don't think you should be announcing that in the church either." "I won't back down on this. Your firstborn child or your life." "I don't think I'm going to have any children anytime soon. I'm not the type to settle down and start a family." "Why do you want a child so much anyway?" "I don't want a child. I hate children. They smell and they make too much noise." "So why?" "It isn't for my sake. It would make Madeline happy, that's all." "Oh my, I'm very flattered." "You get flattered far too easily. That isn't anything special." "I worry raising a child in a lonesome environment like this would be cruel, though." "It wouldn't. Not if they had a mother like you." "That is very sweet of you to say." "Think nothing of it. It's true. Anybody would be lucky to be raised by a woman like you." I know I nag you a lot, but I really do think you're impressive." "You do?" "Yes, I always have done. Daffodil turned her head to one side. Her cheeks were burning. For an awkward girl like Daffodil, being honest like this must have stung. It looked physically painful. Genuinely. "Anyway, what are you still doing here? Are you trying to spy on us?" "Perish the thought. I value my life more than that." Though seeing Daffodil blush was rather amusing, it wasn't worth the hate-filling glare the traveler was receiving. The true nature of Daffodil and Madeline's relationship was interesting, but the traveler did not want to pry. They already knew enough. It was what Madeline had said last night. They were soulmates, united by a bond of love stronger than anything the traveler could imagine. Stronger than anything they could understand. Daffodil and Madeline already had one another. They did not need an unwanted interloper. Madeline might have had a dismal past, but that was well and truly in the past. She buried the bodies of the family she loved so much, including her beloved Bernadette, and had managed to find a new family. A family of 2. If they were being honest with themselves, the traveler was jealous, but they knew there was no sense in dwelling on it. A new day had dawned. It was time for them to start moving. Okay. The end. I see. Lycoris reclines in her rocking chair, her fingers steeped together. She looks thoughtful. That appears to be one ending of the story, but there is more to be discovered. My heart tells me this cannot be all. Asindra, are you still here? Asindra? You hear Lycoris calling out to you in the darkness. The sound of her voice, not so familiar, makes your heart flutter. It takes you a few moments to realize you're sitting on a chair in Lycoris' library. The smell of peppermint and old parchment fills the air, mixed with mold and mildew. Just how old is this library, anyway? Just how old are you? Your bones should have turned to dust a long time ago. But against all odds, you are still here. Oh, good. I was beginning to worry. You did not respond to me for several minutes, and your form had begun to grow indistinct. You are fading away? And that can happen when you don't have a strong grasp on your soul. And the darkness threatens to consume you, and there is naught you can do in defense. How can one claim to truly exist when they do not know their own name? You know, Asindra is not your real identity, is it? But if you're not Asindra, then who are you? That is what we shall discover. We just need to keep reading. The story may appear to be over, but it will repeat as many times as necessary until I am satisfied. It is hiding something within its depths, but I cannot reach it. Not yet. With you by my side, however, whether you call yourself Asindra or not, it makes no difference. We can do it. I know we can. What do you say? You feel weak. The blood inside your veins is thinning, and your fingertips tremble with the effort of simply existing. Your body is frail, buckling beneath the pressure of being alive. You have not had a human body in such a long time, you quite forgot what a strain it was. It would be easier to sink into the abyss until your weak sense of self is snuffed out like a speck of light. But you know you can't. Not when Lycoris is looking at you so expectantly. Take a break first. You wish to rest a few moments. You nod. You do not know how you are able to nod, as your head feels dull and heavy, but you nod all the same. That is understandable. You do seem rather tired, and I would not want you to push yourself too far. If you pursue the truth too recklessly, you might forget what little scraps of information you already know. I would not want you to destroy yourself in the process. I do not want to lose you again. Lycoris. Her name feels like the most natural thing in the world. More natural than the beating of your eyeballs, or the dull pain in your skull, or the blood that forces itself through your veins. How many times have you said this name before? Yes. You know now. She really is important to you.